Think you know rock? Think again. For every classic album on repeat, there's a hidden gem that got lost in the noise, overlooked, ignored, or just too bold for radio. These are the deep cuts and risky experiments that never got their due. From early Pink Floyd to underground anthems you've never heard. Here are 10 underrated rock albums you need to hear. Let's get into it. Number 1. Pink Floyd, Soundtrack to More Before. Dark Side of the Moon made Pink Floyd a household name. They dropped something wild, experimental, and almost completely forgotten. Soundtrack to More came out in 1969. Technically tied to a film, but don't let that fool you. This isn't just background noise. It's Floyd at their most unpredictable, still figuring themselves out. You get eerie psychedelia one minute, then raw acoustic beauty the next. And most fans miss that this is the first album where David Gilmour took the lead on vocals, marking the moment the band's sound began to shift. It's messy, moody, and full of strange energy, but that's exactly what makes it essential. If you want to understand how Pink Floyd became legends, this is the chaotic starting point you need to hear. And number 2 on this list, it's buried in Hendrix's vault, and most people have no idea it even exists. Number 2, Jimi Hendrix, Rainbow Bridge. At first glance, it looks like just another throwaway soundtrack, a weird, posthumous cash grab slapped together after Hendrix was gone. But listen closely, because Rainbow Bridge is hiding some of his most underrated work. Tracks like Pally Gap and Hey Baby, New Rising Sun show a softer, more introspective Hendrix, still electric but dripping with soul. There's no flash or showmanship here, just deep, layered guitar work and haunting melodies that reveal an artist evolving fast and fading just as quickly. Critics barely noticed it, fans ignored it, but if you care about Hendrix beyond the hits, this record is a buried time capsule that hits hard once you know what you're hearing. But now, we're jumping from subtle to straight up powerful, because the next album divided Deep Purple fans like never before.
If you want more videos like this, or other deep dives into music and culture, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my page for more content. Thanks for watching. Number 3, Deep Purple, Burn. Deep Purple had already defined hard rock by the early 70s, but when they dropped Burn in 1974, fans weren't ready. This wasn't just more of the same riffs. They brought in David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes, and everything changed. Suddenly, Deep Purple had funk, soul, and blues woven into their heavy sound, and it hit differently. Some fans loved it, others called it a betrayal. But listen today, and Burn sounds bold. Tracks like Mistreated and You Fool No One are packed with raw energy, complex vocals, and a groove that most rock bands wouldn't touch. It didn't top charts and it didn't please purists, but Burn was Deep Purple at their most fearless and most underrated. Next up, a 90s album that was too dark, too real, and way too ahead of its time. Number 4, Blind Melon, Soup. Everyone remembers Blind Melon for No Rain, that sunny, feel-good anthem that ruled the early 90s. But their follow-up album, it was a total curveball, and most people never gave it a chance. Released in 1995, Soup was darker, weirder, and nothing like the debut. Gone were the radio-friendly vibes. In came songs about addiction, isolation, and self-destruction, all wrapped in haunting melodies. Critics didn't know what to do with it. Fans were confused. But over time, Soup became a cult classic, with some calling it one of the boldest alt-rock records of the decade. Tragically, lead singer Shannon Hoon passed just 2 months after its release, giving the album an even heavier weight. It's raw, it's real, and it deserves way more recognition than it ever got. But if you think that was underrated, wait till you hear the alt-rock anthem that quietly rewrote the 90s sound. Number 5, Pavement, Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. Pavement never wanted to be mainstream, and that's exactly why Crooked Rain hit so hard for those who actually heard it. Released in 1994, it's lo-fi, lazy-sounding, and weirdly brilliant. Beneath the messy guitars and offbeat vocals, there's sharp songwriting and quiet rebellion. Tracks like Gold Sounds and Range Life feel like inside jokes, but they somehow captured the spirit of the 90s better than any chart topper. The album never went platinum. It didn't dominate radio. But ask any indie band from the last 20 years, and this record was probably in their DNA. It's not just underrated, it's a blueprint that most people never realized they were hearing echoes of. Next, we're diving into a rock icon's lost masterpiece, one that critics buried and fans still fight over. Number 6, Lou Reed, Berlin.
After the success of Transformer, Lou Reed could have played it safe. Instead, he dropped Berlin in 1973, a brutal orchestrated concept album about addiction, domestic chaos, and emotional collapse. It was dark, depressing, almost theatrical. Critics hated it. Fans didn't know what to make of it. Some even called it unlistenable. But years later, Berlin is seen as one of Reed's most ambitious works. It's cinematic, fearless, and emotionally raw in a way few albums have ever dared to be. This wasn't music for the radio. It was music that punched you in the gut and stayed there. And it took decades for people to finally appreciate just how bold it really was. Next up, a southern rock band ditched their signature sound and created something totally unexpected. Number 7, Kings of Leon, Because of the Times. Before Sex on Fire blew up, Kings of Leon were just gritty southern rock kids with messy hair and a cult following. But in 2007, they released Because of the Times, and everything changed. Gone were the garage band riffs. In came sprawling cinematic tracks like Knocked Up and On Call. The sound was bigger, moodier, and way more ambitious than anything they'd done before. But instead of blowing up, it confused people. Some fans missed the old style. Critics were divided, and the album quietly faded behind the band's later commercial hits. But listen now, and you'll hear a band at their creative peak. Raw, fearless, and completely unfiltered. Next, we're digging up a criminally ignored gem from one of the most explosive frontmen in rock. If you want more videos like this or other deep dives into music and culture, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my page for more content. Thanks for watching. Number 8, Iggy Pop, The Idiot. Iggy Pop is known for wild stage dives and primal punk chaos, but The Idiot, that was something else entirely. Released in 1977 and co-written with David Bowie, this album flipped everything upside down. The guitars were cold, the beats were robotic, and Iggy sounded like he was whispering through a post-apocalyptic dream. Critics didn't know what to call it. Was it rock? Was it electronic? It didn't matter, because The Idiot would end up influencing everyone from Joy Division to Nine Inch Nails. It wasn't built to top charts. It was built to change the rules. And somehow, it still gets left out of conversations about Iggy's legacy. But if you want unexpected, the next album came from a band known for screaming and turned into something hauntingly beautiful. Number 9, Deftones, Saturday Night Wrist. Known for their ferocious screams and heavy riffs, Deftones surprised everyone in 2006 with Saturday Night Wrist. This album wasn't just aggressive, it was layered, atmospheric, and emotionally complex. Fans expected chaos. Instead, they got haunting melodies and a haunting vulnerability beneath the distortion. Songs like Cherry Waves and Rats reveal a band wrestling with inner demons while pushing their sound into new territory. It wasn't a commercial smash. It confused some listeners. But Saturday Night Wrist is now considered by many to be Deftones' most experimental and underrated album. A secret weapon for fans who crave depth behind the noise. And finally, we wrap up with an album so underappreciated it almost slipped through history entirely. Number 10, Genesis, and Then There Were Three. By 1978, Genesis was at a crossroads. 2 members had left and the remaining trio faced a choice: fade away or reinvent themselves. And Then There Were Three was the result. A bold transitional album that flies under the radar but quietly reshaped their sound forever. Gone was the sprawling prog rock complexity. Instead, they embraced a more accessible melodic style. Catchy songs like Follow You, Follow Me hinted at the huge stadium success to come. But this album still carries a unique charm, blending subtle prog elements with pop sensibilities in a way many fans overlook. It's an album of change and survival, full of moments that reveal a band willing to take risks rather than rest on their laurels. For anyone curious about the evolution of one of rock's most enduring bands, And Then There Were Three is a must-listen hidden gem. And that's our list, but before you go, there's one last thing you need to know. These 10 albums didn't just fly under the radar. They challenged the rules, broke the mold, and refused to be boxed in. They didn't always get the praise or the spotlight they deserved, but their influence runs deep, hidden threads weaving through the DNA of rock music as we know it. So next time you dive into your favorite playlist, remember, sometimes the best music isn't the one everyone's heard. It's the one waiting quietly in the background, daring you to discover it. Which underrated album blew your mind? Drop your picks in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. And if you're hungry for more hidden rock gems, hit subscribe and never miss a beat.